Reggie, Wright, how's it going?
Oh man, great.
Man, glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Cam.
Yeah, definitely, man. They always tune in for you, man.
Ah,
They love your stories, they love what you got to say, man. You
appreciate the
know,
respect. I'm trying to be a more positive man in 2022. Except, come on Bomb first. That's where you get the drama.
come to one first, that's where you get the drama,
You get the
okay?
drama on Bomb first. On my other YouTube boys, my boy Cam, Vlad, and Art. I'm trying to be a more positive man.
Well, you've been killing it, man. Your take on things is definitely interesting, especially from like an insider's point of view. I think some of the biggest news coming out of the West Coast. Well, there's been a few big things coming out of the West Coast, especially concerning Snoop. So I thought we'd get into that. Recently he announced that he's a new owner of Death Row or owner of the brand of Death Row, something like that. Did you
Yeah,
check that out?
I talked to the president of E1. His name is Alan Grumblock over the music department. And a lot of what Snoop is saying is actually true. He does own the brand and the name currently, and in the process, he's going to be owning some of the masters as well. It's not going to be Pac's, of course, and not even Dre's, the Chronic, because those items are going to revert back to, well, actually, Dre's I think already got to revert back. The Chronic, the streaming rights, because that was litigated, and they came up to an agreement because that wasn't mentioned in the separation agreement. Because as you know, in 1996 or 95, when the separation was done, nobody knew about streaming rights, so it wasn't mentioned in the paperwork. So Dre got the Chronic back, and
Full rights?
of the streaming,
Full rights of the stream.
and possibly even the master recordings from the negotiation, from the non-payments and all of that. I'm not sure on the deal on that, but I know Dre definitely got the ownership back of the Chronic. Pac's situation is different. Death Row going to always own, not Death Row, well, Death Row or whoever, the master recordings of All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. However, all those streaming rights as well, it's going to revert back to the estate. And so you'll be seeing that being dropped as well. Which, you got this guy out there now that's trying to say Pac was never signed to Death Row and all that, which is ludicrous, but that's his take on it. But if Pac wasn't signed to Death Row, why does Death Row, even till now, and always has, owned Machiavelli and All Eyes on Me? Well, that's another story, another day for conversation. But yes, apparently a lot of it is going to happen. It hasn't happened yet to date, but yeah, Snoop is in a situation where he done presented to a guy that's the new owner of the company that owns Death Row Records and E1 Entertainment. He's just a hedge funds man. And they're going to come, Snoop and his people presented a way to him where they can benefit money, both, profitable, which I think is a great marketing strategy on their side.
Snoop can probably get the music on more things, more publishing, more places that maybe E1 might not have just been able to do by themselves.
Or didn't care. But look what we're talking about now. Look how much news media that generated. So wasn't it a great marketing strategy on the guy that owns it, actually, and Snoop? I think it was a great marketing tool.
Yeah, if you can get Snoop as a partner,
Yeah.
all the people that mess with Snoop and work with Snoop, yeah, definitely, man.
Just hope he don't have another situation like he did when he ran Doggy Style Records with TNT. Because he had people shooting up his house trying to kill him behind that.
Okay, I didn't know about none of that.
You ain't never heard about Trey D shooting up his house?
I heard about Trey D shooting up the house.
Okay,
yeah.
well then you heard about it.
Okay.
Doggy's Angels, you ever hear them talk about him?
No.
Well, listen to them talk about him. They're not happy with his business dealings. So hopefully he learned from that. Because like I said, we all older now. Hopefully he learned from that and he handled the business better than he did when he was running Doggy Style Records with TNT.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago, right? That was like 20 years ago or something. Or
It was whenever the East Siders was out.
Yeah.
So, but people forget about that. I just like to remind people about people.
You know, when I first heard about E1 buying it, I was like, years ago, I was like thinking like, man, why don't Dre and Snoop go halves on Death Row? It don't make no sense. You know, I was just like, man, like that would just be the biggest thing. You know, now Snoop, he's got this opportunity to sign, you know, all the hottest acts and put them on Death Row. I mean, who wouldn't want to be on Death Row under Snoop if you're a new upcoming artist? Yeah,
people didn't want to be involved then. Suge was still out. Now he's in a cage, locked up, and we have new laws on the books for threatening people and stuff like that. People tend to have a little bit more balls between their legs.
Oh, now that Suge's locked up, more people are... you know, man, I hear that too, dog. I hear... Like, everybody got a Suge story, and in every story, they're punking Suge. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, not all these 50 people punked Suge and stood up to Suge. I'm like, I don't believe it. Earlier, you mentioned Trey D. And Snoop had some issue. What all? Can you speak on that a little more?
Oh, yeah, I think it's out there. People know about it. But Trey D felt he was owed money. He was, so he went and pressed on Snoop. And he allegedly went by his house in Phillip Ranch and shot up the house.
And this isn't what he went to jail for, right?
He says no on Vlad. I saw an interview. He said he went to jail for something else. But that's what I had always heard. Nobody's getting investigated on it or for it. But whether, I'm not going to sit up here and try to put that Snoop and his family or someone testified against Trey D. But he ended up going to jail for 7 years. Some people say it was for another incident that happened in Long Beach. I can't say, but they both happened around the same time. Trey D doesn't accuse him of that publicly, so. But he does admit that he shot up the house.
And this was because he felt like he wasn't being treated fairly.
That he was owed, him and Goldie Loc felt they was owed money. Doggy Angels and all of them that was signed to the label that he had with TNT.
And Snoop has been in the news a lot lately. You know, they recently had the Super Bowl, which was huge. I mean, not just for hip hop, but I mean for the West Coast. So I thought it was really special, like the first hip hop majority show at the Super Bowl was the West Coast. And it was all the West, you know, Snoop, Dre, Kendrick, you know, and it was just dope, man.
Yeah. I was very impressed with it. Really liked it. You know, of course, I would have liked to see Ice Cube there. I would have liked to see even The Game with Kendrick or YG, one of the two. But other than that, you know, but I love Mary, so okay, I'm not mad at Mary. 50 looked like he been eating with me, man. 50 been hanging out, huh? But you know, 50 hitting home runs. That nigga, you'd be a fool to try to hate on 50. So, you know, 50 was good. But most people don't understand the business, and the reason why that was done that way is because all of those acts are signed to Universal Music Group, which owns either MCA, which Mary is signed or was signed to, you know, or Interscope, which, you know, Drace, M50, all of them were signed to, and even Snoop. And so that was controlled by Universal Music Group, who pays, along with Pepsi, for that to happen. And so that's why you didn't have Ice Cube, who was a priority capital artist most of his career.
Yeah, The Game didn't get to perform. YG didn't get to perform. You know, there was rumors Game was mad about it, but he kind of denied it. I would have liked to see The Game perform. I think he should have been up there. I mean, he had massive hits with Dre.
Like I said, that's all controlled by Universal Music Group. Game got to remember, he elected to go independent and go and start doing deals with E1 and other record labels that's outside the Universal Music Group. And so
Jay-Z put the whole thing together.
Jay-Z is in charge for the Super Bowl, for the NFL to decide. So he got to give the check. But if you look at that show, that wasn't nothing original. That's a bite from what Dre did at the Source Awards, where they came out of the different cells. They came out of different little houses. Snoop and Dre was on the stage at the Source Awards, and all the other artists came out of, back then, different cells. They just came out of different little houses or spots or whatever on the dog pound thing. So it wasn't too much creative about that. But it was nice. Like I said, second favorite show, Super Bowl show of all times. My first one was Prince, of course. Maybe Michael Jackson. I'll say Michael Jackson, Prince, that particular show, Beyonce, Bruno Mars. Yeah, even the old boys did a good job. Mick Jagger and them, when they did it. The Rolling Stones. Or was it the Rolling Stones? Well, anyway, one of the old white groups did a good job. So yeah, Janet Jackson and Timberlake did a good job. And so.
One thing that I think everybody might have missed, that I don't think anybody said this publicly, is that Jay-Z got paid in more than one way. Like, he's really smart about this shit. He wrote Still Dre.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid when them streams went through the roof.
Yeah.
He got paid a whole bunch of money.
Well, what most people don't know.
And got paid by the NFL.
Most people don't know. Well, he got a job. His company, Rock Nation, has a management job with the NFL, which pays him well and give him a lot of creative control, and get to look out for people that he has relationships for. Great job. It was a great executive move. But most people don't know Dre purchased that show. Dre owns that show now. He bought it from the NFL for $7 million. And a lot of people not talking about that.
What do you mean owns the show?
That rights. Why you think it's a lot of YouTubers out there that have been running that show on their ad, getting millions and millions of views. They're going to get struck one day. They're going to get a strike and all that money going to come back to Dr. Dre real soon. Because you notice if NBC would have owned it outright, they got lawyers sitting waiting to do that. But trust me, a lot of YouTubers going to be getting struck. Their channel going to get struck, and all that money going to revert to Dre. Dre purchased that halftime show for $7 million from the NFL.
So he owns the video of it, whatever future revenue might come from it.
All that. And if they need to license it, in the future and all of that. But did y'all catch the shot that he threw at Suge Knight?
I was just about to ask you about that.
Yeah. A lot of people say, he put Townsburger in there because Kendrick Lamar grew up on that side of town. Sam's Hamburger is not a Compton landmark or iconic landmark on the west side of Compton or anywhere in the city of Compton. So all you people from other states, stay in your lane.
You seen that in the comments too. Yeah, I seen that all in the comments. Like, no, you're reaching. There's no way Tams is this staple in Compton. And I'm thinking
Louisburger.
There's a lot of
iconic
places in Compton that he could have put in. Why would he give all that free promo
to Tams?
To Tams Burgers, bro?
But did he buy what did you think about it? What did you think about when you saw Tams Burger? Suge Knight sitting in a jail cell for 28 years. Me and Snoop up here hitting home runs at a Super Bowl. Enjoying life. It's a shot. Suge been taking shots at them. So it's fair game. But don't come up there trying to act like we all good, we cool. Call the ball a ball, strike. Nigga, I got a problem with you. I'm going to dish you every chance I get. And Suge does the same. He hasn't stopped. His last audio, he threw jabs at him that he did. So, it's fair game.
Yeah, Snoop has said on several occasions that him and Suge have squashed their beef. I guess
I'll tell y'all a story
they
about
had
that.
a sit down in Vegas, I think he said.
I'll tell y'all a story about that. When Suge was in prison, y'all ask LT Hutton this for everybody that want to jump on there. Suge needed some help while he was in prison. Anybody been to jail that lost their company in a bogus bankruptcy hearing and all of that? You're going to need some help. Suge was on the phone with LT Hutton, another YouTuber, and I think the conversation was leaked. I don't know. I spoke on it. Where Snoop promised to give Suge $25,000 on this particular call. This is Suge on his books to help his family out, his girl out, while Suge's in prison. Maybe to give some money to a lawyer. It probably was to pay off some witnesses, as we done learned. But whatever. He had promised to give up some money. It went all the way down to $3,000. Ask Snoop or LT, since Suge Knight been in prison, did Snoop put, not LT done looked out, but did Snoop put $1 on Suge books? Do you call that a friend? Me and Suge go back and forth. I done shipped money to him, had money shipped to him while he's been in prison. I done had $5,000 shipped to him. I had James do some t-shirts and James shipped some money to him. So, much as we talk about him and go back and forth with him, we still looked out. A dude that can make a $25 just to go take a picture with some rich people, he can't do that for Suge. So when Lil Suge and all those people talking about their daddy and them cool, it's cap. All cap. But y'all here. Y'all be here.
I mean, do you think that they still got like real beef, or is it just they're just taking jabs and it's just minor type of things now?
You look out for me, we cool. But to let that man not look out for him anytime he's in prison, this is beef. And
does Snoop owe him to look out for him?
Does Snoop owe him? This nigga gave up $4.5 million before he sold one album on Death Row to get him out of prison. Man, you owe me. He owe you all those kids he got and his life. He owes Suge Knight. Do you know how many brothers sitting in prison for murder cases and all of that? Him, Malik Lee, Sean Dawg, and Snoop owe Suge their life. Suge didn't have to do that. He didn't have to go to Interscope and use his credibility and his label to get money to be put up for them to fight that case. Snoop made money for him, but y'all don't know the business and y'all gonna learn it. He hadn't sold a record for him yet. He could have just went on and built off of Dre or DOC or whoever else he had at the time. He didn't have to go in and take that chance and that gamble with Suge Knight.
I mean, come on. We all knew Snoop was going to be the next.
Did you have to do it?
I mean, he didn't have to do it.
Okay. Well, you asked did he owe. And he did it. The man could do it all but sleep with my wife or spit in my face. Anything other than that, I don't care what you do or say about me. If I'm in position to look out, I'm going to look out for you. You saved me from going to prison for a murder case.
Well, Snoop also has some other stuff to say about Death Row. He went on $1 million worth of game, and he claimed that he never got a publishing check.
Snoop. Number one, he got advanced, like I said, $5 million for a case. Snoop got $1 million when he left Death Row on a separation agreement. Snoop had a house in Montclair. He had a penthouse on Wilshire. He had all the cars. He had 2 security every day. He had homeboys that was around him. Ultimate studio time and videos. He had a house in Toluca Lake. He had all of this.
Did he own these houses? Were they in his name or were they
the house in Montclair still have. Still had the house in Montclair.
So you're saying, because Snoop said that the first time that he ever had a house in his name was with Master P.
The house in Montclair, he still owned it. His mom and dad was living there the last I heard. Well, we know his mother, a beautiful lady, no longer with us. But I heard his daddy was still staying there. I don't know, but I know at one time they were, at least 3 or 4 years ago. But he still had that house. Everybody knows he still had the house in Montclair. We done seen it. You got interviews out there that said he was taken very well while he was on death row. There's an interview out there where he said he was eating good, better than any artist. There are other artists that tell you how people on death row was living. And very well taken care of. You get them all the time talking about how they used to get $75,000, $100,000 check. Nate Dogg never did a record on death row with $400,000 that he on a legal defense to keep him out of prison. It's all cap. They just, because the check then, and they were getting $50,000 a month monthlies. This is what Snoop was getting back then. And everything was getting paid for. The automobiles, the security, ultimate studio time. And we're talking in 90s. Trust me, when the books was all settled on him and Pop, we settled with them for $3 million. We settled with him for $1 million. These are what their people, their professional advisors are telling them to do. So miss me with that shit.
So what do you
Rob
think Snoop's real issue with the situation is? Why would he, come out and say these things?
Well, they say it because that's how they feel, because they never got it in royalty statement. My thing is, once you know how you spend money? I just spent money last month that I done forgot about that I spent. You know what I'm saying? You don't remember what you did, but when you go and see it in black and white, then you be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And that's how you get your memory. I always said, death row only problem was it didn't have a royalty department, so everybody could see what they earned and what they spent. But when everybody was with death row, everybody was happy, living better than any of their counterparts. Go ask Coolio, who had a hot song back then, how he was doing. LL Cool J, the Fugees, any of those groups. Ask them what they living like a death row artist were back then. Ask them, staying in penthouses whenever they went on the road, riding around. And Snoop rode around daily with a limo driver and a Rolls Royce Bentley when he was on death row with a driver. When he brought the other cars out, that was for play. He told you on the plane, he had his boy pick him up from the airport on the private jet and was waiting for him with his Bentley. He went one way, Pop went the other way. He tell you that in an interview. Ask any artist that was out during that time, did they live like that? Death row artists were the envy of the rap game. All of them. Wasn't none of them living like they were.
Snoop and 50 are making a documentary about Snoop's murder case. How do you feel about that?
Hope they tell the truth. Hope they bring Malik Lee in and get his point of view. Hope they tell the truth about what saved their lives when somebody told them 9mm gun could shoot a 380 bullet when a 380 bullet was the one that killed them. Ask Malik Lee what type of gun he had. Bet you tell you he had a 9mm. You think Malik Lee put 380 bullets in a 9mm? No, he had 9mm bullets. Who you think shot from the 380? Next question.
Well, we all know that, they beat their case. So, whatever does come out or whatever, they're protected. Do you believe it'll be accurate?
No, he ain't told nothing else accurate. He ain't said nothing accurate since then. Why would he tell the truth on the show? The reason why they beat that case was because some evidence came up missing. What I just told y'all about with the bullet things. Y'all do some research and y'all learn, and y'all know why I'm saying that. And because David Kenner rests he didn't put on a defense. And the prosecution case was going to be put on mainly during the cross-examination. But that legal mind that David Kidder was saved him from being sitting between somebody's legs right now and getting his hair braided. Probably would have committed suicide by now. But yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed Malik, and he's talked about how the police, they wanted to pin it on Snoop. He talked about how they treated him. He also talked about they caught him kind of in like a lie. Like at first they said that the dude, I forget his name, that they killed, that they took the gun from the scene, and then when they pulled him in, they actually admitted, like, yeah, we took the gun from the crime scene. And so at that point in time, like, there really shouldn't have been a trial, but then they ended up, having the trial anyway, and they bring him in, and they're like, they tell him, like, yeah, he pulled a gun out.
Yeah, when he's talking about that, he's talking about his friends. The guy that got killed, friends, took the gun from off him. You made it sound like Malik and Snoop took the gun off.
Oh, no, my bad. Yeah, no, it was...
Correct.
Yeah.
I know the case, so I know what you mean.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But hey, 50 Cent hitting home runs. I love what he did with the BMF. I love what people that's a part of the BMF really think of it, because I don't know it like they do. But the way it's coming across, okay, you like it. The power. I'm not feeling 4. I'm not feeling Tommy yet. And Tommy, one of my favorite characters, but I'm not feeling this one. But I love to see how that come off. But I love everything 50 did before then. I even love his show on ABC that we all forgot about, Life. I'm waiting for that to come back on. So 50 hitting home runs. So I love to see what he do with Snoop. Just hope we get the right people to consult. People that was on the legal team, like a David Chesno, who's still alive, or a Don Ray, David Kenner. Hope we get their point of view. Malik Lee. Hope they get,
They can't do it without Malik, man.
I don't think so.
We need Malik on there, man.
Well,
and Snoop, if you're listening, I got to connect with Malik. I can plug you direct with him. Have your people reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I'll plug you directly with Malik. He's been trying to get a hold of you. He wants to be part of this, man, and he definitely deserves to be part of it.
He should be. I hate how they disowned Malik. But that's Malik's story. I'll let him tell it. But yeah. He'll say he moved on to bigger and better things, because I've spoken with him as well, and he's a positive brother. And I know sometimes when you just on that positive kick, you just want to get away from all of this. So I take my hat off to him, but Malik input needs to be portrayed or need to be involved somehow. Yes.
I agree, 100%. Well, there's an old clip that recently went viral of Suge Knight saying that Jay-Z got tied up and robbed in LA. Did you see that?
I know about it. I saw the clip. It was on a talk show. I was actually with him in New York. We did that in 2002. January 2002 is when he went on that show. And forget the guy's name, something Carson. It wasn't Phil Carson. But anyway, we went and did that show. It was a late night show. It used to come on like 1 in the morning. Came on real late. It wasn't in the Johnny Carson. It came on after Johnny Carson and something else went off. It used to come on. But yeah, I heard him tell the story before. I know the story. I'm sure I'm the one that told him about the story.
Okay, so this is something you actually know about.
Oh yeah. It's factual. It wasn't just happening to Jay-Z. It was happening to a lot of people. LA was wild like that. It's back like that now. But those rappers were, the guy from Onyx. They were robbing people in the recording studios. Everybody was big. That's when everybody was coming out with the Rolexes with the diamonds on it. And everybody knew they were worth like $25,000, $30,000. And everybody was getting robbed for their watches back then. And that was a big thing in LA. They were mainly hitting up the recording studios and the places, this hotel across from it used to be a Fat Burgers. That was real popular on La Cienega. And it's a big hotel now that's real popular. The Lux or something like that. I remember seeing it in Entourage. They filmed there. And anyway, it's a hotel where Fat Burgers was on La Cienega, right by the Beverly Center. Jazzy was sitting in underneath the Beverly Center. Guys walked up to him.
Jazzy Faye?
The producer, yeah.
Okay.
He's sitting with his girl eating lunch. And they walked up, put the gun in his stomach, and give up the watch. So LA was wild like that back in 2000, 2002. Yeah.
I want to report the whole story because Memphis Bleak weighed in and said that it was cap. Said
How
that
old
it
was
never
Memphis Bleak?
happened.
How old was Memphis Bleak then?
I don't know what year it
Did
happened.
we even know who Memphis Bleak was in 2000?
Memphis Bleak was on Jay-Z's first album,
In 2000?
96.
Okay.
He was around.
I
He was
didn't know
around.
him. You didn't know who the fuck he was, so. But go ahead. Nobody
I'm
knows
just
who he
giving
was.
you the whole story. That's all.
But he's supposed
For the
to.
listener.
That's his boy. He's supposed to stand up
Right.
for him.
He's going to say that no matter what.
No matter what, he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Allow him to tie up on the elevator, who knows, but I know he got robbed on the elevator. Jay-Z like elevator. Things always happen to Jay-Z on elevators, right?
Bad luck. He has bad luck on elevators.
Yeah.
Okay.
But whether he was tied up or not. But they did. Shaquille O'Neal got tied up in a hotel. And, you know, that's what dudes was doing. They were smart then. They would stick chicks on you. You take them back to the room. Girls would get to the phone. Hey, we're in room such and such. Niggas was kicking your doors in. A lot of people was getting tied up back in the 2000s and getting robbed. The watches were big. You were walking around with $25,000, $30,000 on your wrist. God forbid you had a chain or a bracelet on.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for dudes with nothing.
Everybody was doing it. Everybody was, wearing the watches then. These guys in these diamond chains is going on now. Whew, I know these youngsters having a ball.
You see it all the time. Now we're seeing the video of it though.
Because everybody got a camera in their hand.
Everybody got a camera. We're seeing videos all the time of like dudes just walking up.
Yeah.
And walking off with dudes' watches and shit, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Unfortunately, now it's the Armenian guys and the Israel, they the only ones that got the money now to have those nice Rolex on and stuff like that. Because the brothers done got a little smart, and and the Mexicans are always deep, so. But they don't be wearing that stuff unless they at the right places. But the guys that are Armenians and the Israel guys are the ones that got the watches and stuff now. That mainly been the victims. That I've been seeing.
Getting robbed now?
That's getting robbed, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Because they be riding down the street with their arm outside the window. Everybody see that watch and be like, all right, time to get them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a common way that they'll rob dudes is like they'll just drive down the street and then they'll just like check every street that they come across, and if you're outside, they just might get you.
Yeah. But those youngsters, but that's what's happening now. Yeah, the unemployment checks is over.
Yeah, no more PPP.
Dre told you a long time ago. Said if we wasn't doing this rap music, we'd be burglarizing your houses or sticking guns in your face. So y'all got to give us something to make some money. And that's how the youngsters are thinking now.
It's definitely going down. Kodak Black was shot.
Kodak. Was it behind a robbery or was that behind?
Well, I don't think it was robbery, but I was just talking about in general how.
Yeah.
They
wild. Oh,
it's wild.
That party scene, you couldn't pay me to go on the party scene now. That's a young man's game. If you're over 35 and you're out there, take your old butt home. I don't even see how the ex-NBA players and NFL players out there. Y'all need to be at home. Let the youngsters be out there. This is a young man game now. Let them have it.
Well, Harry O has been released from jail, and he hasn't done any interviews yet. I don't even know if he's spoken publicly yet. He's
big on Instagram. He's been taking a lot of pictures. But contrary to belief, well, I've never heard anyone speak bad on Harry O. Not even Suge. I did time with people that did time with him when he was at Lompoc that got transferred to the camp I was. They all spoke very, very highly of Michael Harry O. I don't know much about him. I wasn't around when he was having his dealings with the guys that were around Death Row in 91, 92, 93, and later 94. He tried to sue me and take my house. But, I'm sure that was his lawyer doings. But other than that, you're not going to hear me say nothing bad about Harry O. Other than they played Suge in the lawyer system, and people forget Harry O was sitting down there at the grand jury orchestrating the RICO case against Death Row from 97 to 98. A lot of people forget about that. So he was down at NBC in LA working with the U.S. government trying to get Suge indicted. And later on, y'all hear the audio, go to Bomb first, and you'll hear the audio where his attorney bragged and boasted to him about how the judge on the case was going to do what he eventually done, gave a crazy judgment against Suge. And
you want to break down that audio for him?
Sure. So the audio that was released on Bomb first is pretty much Michael Harry O calling from prison at St. Quentin, and he was talking to his boy at the time, Al Brown, and one of his attorneys. I forget the name of the attorney. And it's on Bomb first now, and y'all can go and check it out. And he just basically telling them, hey, this judge that we got is going to be favorable for us, to where the fact that the judge is going to give us a big judgment, which he did, a $107 million judgment, and that he's upset with Suge and them for not showing up and appearing in court. And he was telling him off the record, before they went on record, what to say and how he was going to respond to it. Now, whether the attorney lying on the judge, who knows? But this is the audio that we have that Harry O's attorney is telling him, and we know that later on it did happen.
And Harry O, they already won a settlement, right? Back in 95, 96 or something, for like $100,000 or something?
Well, they had settled the case prior with Interscope and Death Row in 96, but then he refiled it after he went and tried to get Death Row taken when they were working with the government, trying to do a RICO act against Death Row and Suge Knight, which only turned out to a failing to file taxes judgment, misdemeanor, federal case. And then later on, Harry O filed a additional lawsuit where Suge then settled with his wife at the time, Lydia, for $1 million. You hear that in the audio as well, where Suge gave her the $1 million. Harry O was smart. Well, they played him. The next day after the check cashed, he filed for divorce on her. Said she has no rights to negotiate on my behalf. She might have dismissed her half, but I still own my half of the judgment. And by then it's in bankruptcy, and the bankruptcies, the receivers and all that didn't want to hear it, and they never even took that to court. The audio they had and the paperwork showing that Lydia signed off on the judgment for $1 million, which she cashed.
Okay, so she gets this $1 million settlement, and then they still go back for more. The judge rules in the favor of Harry O.
They didn't take it to court. The bankruptcy people was in charge now.
Okay, so it went into bankruptcy first.
So then once they got the judgment.
Oh, okay. So once they got the judgment, it went into bankruptcy.
It went into bankruptcy.
So
during the bankruptcy, she made a settlement agreement with Lydia to drop it. So he could have dropped his bankruptcy case. Only reason he filed for bankruptcy because he had a $107 million judgment against him. And they were trying to liquidate everything in the bankruptcy. And so Suge went and made a deal with her for $1 million to settle the case, which she signed off for. But they had a plan in motion where they took the $1 million. Suge got played, in essence. Took the $1 million, and the bankruptcy court then took the paperwork and said, hey, she settled for this $1 million. she's willing to drop this case. Now I want to pull out of bankruptcy. They would never present that to the bankruptcy court to get dropped because now the receiver is in charge. They Suge now. They in charge of everything. And they were making good money off of him monthly, off the proceedings. And so they didn't want that to go away. And when you already got this plot with the government involved to take death row from him, you just had too many things working against him and nobody to help him.
So Harry O was in charge of death row at one point?
No.
No.
Just had a judgment. Harry O ain't never.
Hold on. Because I'm kind of confused here. So it went into bankruptcy, and who was in control of death row once it went into bankruptcy?
The bankruptcy receiver.
Bankruptcy receiver. Okay, I see. And then Suge wanted to drop.
He settled a case with the people that had a large judgment against him, which was Lydia Harris and Michael Harrio. For a $107 million judgment, they settled for $1 million. But
I see. Who ended up owning it after the bankruptcy?
That's when it got sold to a company in Canada. Wide Awake was the first company. Then E1 bought it from Wide Awake.
Oh, I see.
And then the Hallsboro bought it from E1. And then this new company bought it from Hallsboro.
Oh, Hasbro. Yes, that's right. Toy company had it for a while.
Now we're saying Snoop, I guess.
Snoop is in control of the branding of it.
Correct.
Right, yeah. Now, you also mentioned Nate Dogg earlier, getting in a little bit of trouble and Suge bailing him out. So
correct.
What all happened with all that?
Well, he was out there robbing Taco Bells, and he got picked out on robbery for a couple of Taco Bells. Suge hired this brilliant attorney from Vegas named David Chesnoff. He represented him. They beat the case. Put up over $400,000 to pay for his legal fees on that and bailing him out.
That's a lot of Taco Bells. 5 Taco Bells.
I don't know how many, but
okay.
I
I heard
know.
5.
Yeah.
And he was on camera.
On camera.
Suge has some lawyers, man.
That's the point.
I need to know who these lawyers are, man.
That's the
Suge
point.
getting dudes off for robberies and murders and.
Why you think they came at him so hard? So now y'all get the picture.
Yeah.
Him allegedly assaulting people. Him making people drink in urine. He has some history. I'm not trying to put a halo. I never put a halo over Suge Head. I just say, a person that look out for me like that, I'm gonna look out for him like that as well if I'm in position to do it. It's the only thing I fault Snoop for. Only thing. And the smut that they try to put on his face, on him, like he wasn't taking care of them, when we all know how good they were living. They were the envy of everybody in the hip hop community. I'm not saying Garth Brooks and the Beatles and Michael Jackson and them did, but you tell me one rapper or one producer in the rap game that didn't want to be a part of Death Row back then. Tell me one.
Oh, Death Row was the place, man.
You can't tell me one.
Everybody was fucking with Death Row back then, man.
And nobody was rolling around and living like they were. Not even the boys on the East Coast. They wasn't. They are now. They hitting home runs now. Jay-Z hitting home runs. Well, LL, because of his acting ability, I think. Hitting home runs.
Yeah.
But where's Fabulous? How was DMX and them living? What is our boys, the Rough Riders, doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard DMX wasn't doing too
Method
good before
Man.
he passed away.
Redman. Tell me any of those, Method Man doing okay with the movie things, it appears. But tell me what the Wu-Tang guys, how they living? Didn't we see them more receiving food stamps? ODB and all them. So my point is, everybody allegedly that was selling all these type of records back then, the game wasn't like it was. The only ones that was winning was the ones that can go on the road and sell out arenas. Usher, Chris Brown, and all of them, because they were being able to get in the arenas and go and sell the arenas out. That's where they make their money. 50. 50 didn't make money until he went over to the music game. I mean, to the movie game. He had filed for bankruptcy. Now we'll say, yeah, it was because of the judgment and this and all that. But until he sold vitamin water, Puffy was $8 million unrecouped. He couldn't sell. This is after Biggie and all of that. He was unrecouped. Def Jam was unrecouped. All of these had to sell out to the majors. Where they made their money was because of what? Their branding, the clothing lines, the alcohol business, the side investments. None of these brothers made money off the music game. Like we thought.
Right. A lot of people, Dre with the headphones.
The beats.
Jay-Z with the vodka. A lot of rappers are made. The majority of their big money has been with things outside
other
of
ventures.
Rap.
The branding.
Yeah, they've used their fame. Like I believe Nas invested in Uber early on, and they didn't want to let him. But because he was Nas, they let him. I don't know if it was Uber or somebody else, but I think it was Uber. A lot of tech stuff that he couldn't get into, that he was able to get into.
That's all I'm trying to say. We should get the bad rap. He did this and beat you out of this. If he was making $1 a record back then, you were doing good. We know that most of them was selling, to this date, 10 million records. So that's $10 million. You still have expenses. People don't know. You got to pay for your videos. You have to pay for your studio time. Every time you got in a limo, you paid for the hotels, the advance on the producers that came in the studio that you wanted to produce a track for you. You had to pay for them if they wouldn't click with you as well. Executives get a bad rap from the music game because most people that's talking about it don't know the business.
And rappers like to spend a lot of money.
They do. That's the image. But you do that to go where? On the road and do these shows. That's where you make your money at. Unfortunately, back in the 90s, they didn't have arenas and no Kia theaters, smaller venues, 15,000, 10,000 seat venues like they did then. You only had nightclubs you can go to get 1,000 people in, and where you might have got $10,000, $15,000 for a fee. You sometimes got $100,000 for a vineyard. But these brothers now, I'm trying to do a deal with Kanye through my boy Wack100 and now. And they want $750 just to talk to me about doing it.
Damn.
That's just the game now. These dudes don't move for $750 or $1 million.
Kanye, I could see that, yeah.
Chris Brown too.
Chris Brown, yeah.
But 50 and Mary got something working. We've been trying to book them, and they've been telling me, yeah, but you got to book 50 too. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all heard it here first. 50 and Mary about to do something big. I don't know what, but they saying they willing to talk, but 50 got to be a part of it. Y'all look out for it. I heard it first on Cam News.
That's it. The exclusive.
Ah.
Well, Fat Joe, a while back, said that he started recording an album with Biggie, and that most of them were Tupac disses. Did you ever hear about this?
No, but they always try to act like they never would diss. You got several interviews where they always say on the Bad Boy side that Big wouldn't let you diss Pac. He wasn't going to diss Pac. Gene Deal just did something recently on the art where he said that Big said the next person that diss me or talk about me, I'm going to get. But that was supposed to have been, a day or two before he got killed or the same day he got killed? So I don't know. But I believe that. I believe Long Kiss Goodbye was a diss. Or Long Kiss Goodnight was a diss. I believe some of the songs on his album was a diss. Who Chain got shot, the one he did with Mace. Who Chain got, who got shot. More Money, More Problems song. So I believe it's a lot. Jay-Z used to be on the side at big shows, dissing the heck out of Tupac. That's out there on the internet. You can hear that at the Apollo. So
Jay-Z did say, I think he did say he made a diss song but never released it.
It's on the internet. Pull it up.
Okay.
It's on the internet.
And then only before he said he performed it like one time or something.
He did. It was at the Apollo Theater. But my point to be is Big is, everybody has always publicly said that Big said leave it alone. He wasn't going to deal with it. He wasn't going to touch it. But now for Fat Joe to say that, okay.
Little C's denied it. So to be fair, Little C's was asked about it, I believe, in the Art of Dialogue interviews, and he denied it. But, I mean, Biggie took shots at Tupac.
I believe that.
But he never went in on Tupac.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He never, like, made a song or, like, a whole verse. It was just little, like, you know, little shots here, little shots there.
Yeah. Well, Long Kiss Goodnight was no little shot. But okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so his mind frame might have been going there after Pac died. He might was going in that direction. But we'll never know, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly wish Biggie would have made a diss song. I mean, you know, Tupac's my favorite artist, but I mean, you know, I would have rather, you know, them had like a real battle on.
But would you still listen to it?
You know?
After Pac got killed, I can't listen to Hit 'Em Up anymore.
After Pac got killed, I wouldn't have wanted to hear let me make that clear. After Pac got killed, I definitely wouldn't have wanted to hear a diss.
Yeah.
But had they both been alive, you know what I mean? I think it would have been
another
Jay-Z and Nas type of battle situation.
Well, Big was lyrically tight, but Pac had a pen too, and Pac could write as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Big could have topped Hit 'Em Up. Man, Hit 'Em Up is like
vicious.
That's like, in my opinion, the hardest diss record ever. I don't know if Big, you know, maybe that's another reason why Biggie didn't want to go in on it, because he probably knew that it would have been hard to win that battle.
Could have been, but that's like saying a basketball player that Kobe wouldn't want to play against Jordan. You know, they all feel they the best. So I think Big that was his fear. I just think he didn't want the drama. Because Big was living and eating good, and he loved it on the West Coast. He loved it coming out here. People forget, Big was out here 2 months prior to his death. Everybody think he just came out there that week for the Soul Train Music Awards. They need to clear that up. Big was hanging out here for 2 months prior to his death.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Yeah, he liked it out here.
Well, like I always say, Snoop is the one that made Puffy and Big feel comfortable. I got to pull up that tape. It's a show on Steve Harvey's show where
Snoop and Puffy were on there together.
Was on and Big. I thought Big was there too. I don't know. It might have been the Snoop and Puff, but he told him it's all good. I think Big was there, as I remember, and he pretty much was telling them it's okay. Yeah, it's cool. And I remember Suge Knight sitting in prison, and he looked at me and said, "Red, how does this man think he can start a war that he didn't start? Stop a war that he didn't start?" So he was pretty much saying Snoop can't protect him. Snoop can't protect him. And he thought that was funny, that Snoop thought he could stop something that he didn't start.
Yeah, Snoop, you know, I mean, I think we've touched on it before. Snoop went on the radio and said those were his homeboys and everything. And, you know, Snoop didn't really want too much of the beef.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that, and people were mad that Dre and them didn't show homage to Pac at the Super Bowl. I'm not. Pac wasn't feeling neither one of them prior to his death. Not saying that he probably wouldn't have worked it out, as we see people work things out later on. But when Pac died, he wasn't feeling Snoop. When Pac died, we know from the Toss It Up video and that video shoot and that footage that you can find on Bomb First, he wasn't feeling Dre.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's a lot of falling out right there at the end. But
so I understand why they didn't show homage just a little bit. What they did with I Ain't Mad at You.
Yeah, they did a little. They could have did a little more, but
Yeah.
a little California Love would have been good.
Well, they did it.
Well, yeah,
The
but
Dre verse. That was Dre's song, in fairness to Dre. Originally, that was Dre's song. Suge is the one that convinced Dre to allow Pac to get on that verse because they knew it was a hit, with the Roger Troutman and all of that. And Suge did some talking and convincing to Dre, but Dre didn't want to give that song up.
I can see why. It was. I mean, it was one of those songs where it was like you just loved it from the first time you heard it. Not all songs are like that.
Yeah.
But that was one of those songs where it was just like, yo, this is the shit.
People don't know back then, that was one of the first hip hop songs that ever was getting 3,000 radio spins a week, which was crazy. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are now, what program directors or guys that work for record companies get excited over. But it was a guy named Step Johnson that was over radio department for Interscope at the time. And he got all type of bonuses for getting 3,000 spins on California Love. Yeah.
A lot of people associated with Death Row, unfortunately, throughout the years, were killed. I don't know if it was gang violence or, this or that. A lot of it might have been mob, Pyru related.
I don't know no artist that was killed on Death Row, but Tupac.
Well, that's why I just said people associated.
Oh, associated
with Death Row.
So you're talking about mob members, mob Pyrus and Luda Park guys is what you're talking about.
Right. At least 10, right?
Something like that. I'm sure we count them. I have to think about them and count them, but I don't sit around and count that. But there's been some internal beef going on between the Compton area, not those guys in Beverly Hills. That's what I mean by that is, Beverly Hills, you had Beverly Hill mobs, and then you had the Compton mobs. And they both the same, but they acted different when they was in Beverly Hills. But then when they went back home, they had some internal beef going on.
Well, Looters Park and mob used to be one, right?
Correct.
And
the whole east side.
Now they don't get along, right?
They have beef, but they all grew up. They all dating each other, women or sisters and all of that. So they always gonna have a connection, because everybody's right around the corner from each other. And to be, quite frankly, a lot of the older guys that live in the mob area still claim East Side or Looters Park.
Oh, okay.
Because mob is my generation, my age. The oldest mob Pyru member is probably 57, which is a couple of years older than me. 57, 58, where Looters, you can have some guys in the 60s that was claiming Looters. But I don't know any mob members over 58. I don't know what big Walt, I don't know how old Craig Stevens is. But he's about the oldest mob Pyru member that comes to mind.
Were all these fights and stuff, was it over Death Row related, or was it just like street type of stuff?
Both. Some internal fighting that was going on behind some Looters Park and mob guys that had got disassociated from Death Row. That some shootings went down behind. It always generally behind money, on paychecks or cars or something like that. That a lot of the beef happened. A lot of it came from some guys from Fruittown that had some issues with some things that was allegedly done by guys from the mob. So,
is that's the Buntry situation you're talking about right there?
Correct. Buntry and Pooch.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I mean, I done talked about it before, but yeah.
Wait, where was Poochie from?
Yeah, some will say mob, some will say Looters.
Okay.
I believe he's from mob. I think that's what James always said, that he believed he was from mob. But I know he was Clyde with a guy that was from Looters. And he was hanging out with a guy, when he got shot before he got killed, he was with a guy that was from Fruittown area. And that's the guy that was from Fruittown area that allegedly shot him. And he was in Fruittown area when he got shot. Not killed, well, shot the first time.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know he had been shot one time before that.
He was in a car with a guy named Chin that got killed, and he was in the car and he got shot with Chin, and that was in Fruitown area.
How long before he was killed was he shot? Do you know?
He was shot probably in 98, 99 with Chin. Might have been 2000. And then when did he get killed? 2004, 2005?
Something like that. Yeah.
So during that time period.
Riding his motorcycle, right?
He was on a motorcycle. He died tragically. So for all you Biggie fans, I guess karma came back on Pooch hard. Because he got shot on a motorcycle riding down Central.
Well, we were talking about Buntry. Can you talk about what happened with Buntry?
Buntry was accused of being involved in a guy named Vincent Buchanan's death. They thought him, myself, and Suge had something to do with. And the guys retaliated on Buntry for that, for allegedly watching a tape of their homeboy Vincent Buchanan being tortured. And they took offense to it and killed Buntry at a gas station in Compton in a vehicle that was registered to me.
Did they ask Buntry about this at all before they killed him?
He was confronted by them sometime before he was actually killed, and I guess he thought he explained himself to him.
And they thought you had something to do with it too.
Yeah, because the guys that allegedly kidnapped Vincent Buchanan was dressed up like police, and he was handcuffed and dropped off in front of a cemetery on Central in Compton.
Did they ever call you about this?
I was confronted about it before, or I had heard about it, but they had got off of it, and they was trying to solicit me to give Suge's whereabouts to them.
Was this the first time that anybody ever asked you for Suge's location to get him?
Yeah, they ever came at me that way. But you got to remember, Suge and I relationship was estranged at that time, where I wasn't hanging with him. I was working at another music company, and everybody thought we was at war when we really was just distance. I'll never be at war with Suge. I would tap at him, talk about him, but you can't do it.
Yeah, I've noticed you and Suge have like a kind of like a love-hate type of friendship, you know.
Exactly.
You know, I could tell you guys are more of like a, you know, maybe like a brother type of relationship. I just from the outside looking in, bro, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just guessing.
We got something working now.
You know.
We're about to do brokering a big podcast deal for him. And so we're always gonna make some money together.
That's what's up. Yep. That's good shit, man. Well, how much did they offer you for Suge?
$50,000.
$50,000.
Just to tell where he lived.
What'd Suge say about this?
He laughed it off. Thought it was funny.
Suge didn't care. He was like, fuck it. Whatever.
He laughed it off.
Well, I seen you had some problems with Delray Richardson.
Delray, I don't have any problems with him because he appears to be a good dude. He's just like an asshole. We all got one. It's very opinionated. And just because you throw up some paperwork, I wish I had some paper. I'll throw something up in front of y'all right now and say, see this paperwork? And then y'all believe it. It's factual.
Well, can you break down for him what happened?
Well, I'm just saying.
What did you have a problem with that he did?
He always, well, number one, his main thing and the only thing I ever responded to him about was he said Tupac wasn't signed to Death Row. The craziest thing I ever heard. Suge was just a puppet for Interscope and all of that. Well, I wish that was true. I'm sure Suge Knight wish it was true. Because we wouldn't have the PR nightmare that we had, the reason why people hate Death Row back in the 90s. And that was because they felt that Tupac was cheated out of his royalties.
Right, you guys
So
would have never been.
if you don't own them and somebody else really in charge, then they should be mad at Interscope. Not Death Row should have been the one getting sued. If they didn't own them, why does, to this day, the brand Death Row owns Machiavelli and All Eyes on Me, the two albums that was done on Death Row? So he just throws up paperwork and stuff like that, and people think it's factual just because you show some papers that's not read deeply and all of that. But other than that, that's the only problem I have. He's a major groupie. Y'all look at his page, that's all he do is take pictures with people. And two, he's speaking from a point of opinion from his interpretation of reading something.
Was the paperwork real that he had?
Who knows? It could be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. But that doesn't mean that the deal wasn't assigned to Death Row through Interscope. Everybody knows, anybody that knows in the business, Tupac was an artist with Death Row. Now, if you're going to say he was going to leave and this and that, there's no evidence of that other than people saying it. But, okay, say that. That's your opinion. But to say he wasn't signed to Death Row, who believes that? Who really believes that? Other than people that just want to hate on Tupac, not Tupac, on Suge or Death Row. And I just can't sit by and let people try to take away his legacy. Because Suge is the one that went out and got Tupac from prison. Nobody else. Everybody said that they were going to do it and this and this and this. He showed a list of people that Tupac was supposed to have wanted contacted on one of his latest videos. Possibly true. All of them were big name people. Will Smith, Jada, all these. He was trying to raise money to get out. Who went and got him? Who do Tupac in his own words said came and got him?
Yeah, sure.
Suge Knight. But everybody want to take that away from him. Why everybody trying to rewrite history on the man? Give the man his due. Stop trying to take it away from him because you have an opinion about him on somebody that you don't really even know. Everybody that talks bad don't even never sold an album on Death Row. That's how you get paid. Not from guest appearing on stuff. You get writers and publishing and all of that for guest appearing on people's albums, if you wrote it. You don't get paid for being on people's albums. You don't generally get points off of that. You might get it off some soundtracks, but they only gonna pay you for. R. Kelly tried to tell y'all, you're only getting 12 play from me. And that's all I get paid for. Anything after 12 songs, you don't get paid for. People don't know that in the business.
I never heard that. Okay.
Most people don't. But when they give you 16, 18 songs, they not record label not paying you for all 16, 18 of those songs. They pay you for 12 songs. But,
That's how it was back then. Anyway.
That's how it is now. Well, now they only do singles out.
Well, now it's streaming,
They only
right?
throw, yeah, that's what I said. They only throw out singles now.
Yeah, you're getting paid off every stream.
Yeah.
Keefy D recently accused DJ Quick of being involved in Biggie's murder. Did you see that?
I mean, just because a person sitting at a location where thousands of people at and says, even if they heard that or overheard that damn, they said they were going to get him. That makes you a part of a murder or a setup? If all that's accurate. I'm not here to call people liars anymore. But do that make you a murderer? Because you said, damn, those niggas said they were going to get him. That's an opinion. People got to learn to know what's an opinion from factual.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What would DJ Quick have got out of it? I don't know.
What? DJ Quick wasn't even hanging with us no more at that time. He wasn't on everybody said he was a Death Row. DJ Quick, number one, has never been a Death Row artist. He was on Profile Records. He was a producer that worked at Death Row, but he wasn't even messing with us at that time.
Well, he was an initial suspect.
Not at that. You're talking about the El Rey Theater. You're talking about from the beatdown with the Kelly Jamerson at the El Rey Theater.
Oh, I thought he was initially suspect for Biggie also?
No, I ain't never in life heard that.
Oh, okay.
He did a song about, no, I'm not. I'm a gangster. No, I'm not. That was the Kelly Jamerson incident at the El Rey Theater.
Okay. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. He was there. MC8 was there too, right? And there was a big old thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but
It was a fight, melee, that happened at a Death Row after party, the Soul Train after party. And it was a fight that happened afterwards. I mean, inside the club at the El Rey Theater. Guy got stumped to death from the 60 Crips area.
MC Hammer, was he ever signed to Death Row, or was he just kind of rolling with you guys?
He was rolling with us. He was going to do it. Suge was going to set him up like he was setting up Snoop, Snoop, Tupac, and this guy named Big D and Eric B. So Big D and Eric B was going to be running Death Row East. I heard somebody say, James of all people, said that that's why he gave Tupac Death Row East. Tupac was just promoting Death Row East. They were going to do some stuff on Death Row East. That was going to still be a Death Row label. Big D and Eric were just going to be running it because they lived in New York.
Eric B, right?
Eric B.
Okay.
Then you had Tupac. That was Machiavelli Records. And then you had Snoop. It was going to be Doggy Style Records. And then finally Hammer. It's going to be Hammer Time Records. That's why we know Keisha Cole brother, Nutso, because he was going to be one of the first artists on Hammer Time Records when he was hanging around.
How did Suge get in contact with Hammer? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. That's a story. So Hammer was on, it was something like a little talk show that used to come on BET late at night. At like, it was on Sunday nights, I remember. And he wasn't doing the gospel music. He wasn't doing the gospel thing yet. But he had a song that was out that he was doing, and it was on BET like 10 or 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. And so it was just he and I sitting in his office. And we was watching, and he was looking at the show. And he said, Reg, look at Hammer. And I was like, yeah, Hammer, trying to make a comeback. This is like in 96, early part of 96. So yeah. He said, no, look at Hammer, Reg. You don't see nothing strange about Hammer? I'm like, no. He said, he ain't got no jewelry on. He said, Hammer doing bad. Hammer ain't got no jewelry on. The next day he get me on the phone. I didn't think nothing of it. He said, Reg, try to reach out and get a hold of Hammer. Have Roy get a hold of, Roy was his assistant at the time. Have Roy get a hold of Hammer. He got a hold of Hammer. Told Hammer to come in town. Hammer came right in town. They talked. Told me, Reg, have a check cut to Hammer for X amount of dollars. He gonna go down to Long Beach to get his jewelry out of the pawn shop. From then on, Hammer was around. Now, I don't think it was no paperwork ever done, but Hammer was around and Hammer was fucking with us there from that day on.
I seen somewhere that Hammer put some money on Suge's books.
Yeah, I heard he shot on Rick, dude named L.A. Rick. That's like, he's like the brother of Toy, Suge's current fiance, and supposed to put some money, gave him some money to put on Suge books. There's a lot of people out there that has done that for Suge. That's why I'm disappointed in Snoop. Like I said, it had got down to $3,000 that Suge was asking this man for. He never did it.
Mm. Did you ever see any wild fights with Hammer? Because Hammer has like this, like he kind of had this soft image, but there's been countless people that are like, yo, Hammer will fuck you up.
Hammer was an athlete. People don't know, Hammer used to play baseball. I remember us being in Hawaii and we were all out there on a baseball diamond in Hawaii playing. And I think he used to be a bat boy or something like that for the Oakland A's, for the A's organization. Might even call himself playing in it for a minute or something. But I know he was good in baseball because he was out there pitching and having the ball. We was in Hawaii on a baseball diamond. But Louis Burrell was the gangster with Hammer. I was the one that would always defend Hammer. Hammer, in my opinion, the only thing I didn't like about Hammer was big on entourages. He would come to the club, trying to get in Club 662. Reg, I got 20 guys with me. Oh man, I'm not letting 20 of these niggas in here with you. We're trying to make some money. Hammer would try to bring the whole Oaktown in with him and all that. Hammer was big on having entourages. But one thing I can say about Hammer and Deion Sanders, they didn't curse, never see them cheating on their women, having different women around, and don't recall ever seeing them drink.
Oh, wow. Really?
That's what I know about Hammer. And that's back then. That's in 95. And, you know, so-called heyday or whatever. I know he went on and was, you know, trying to preach and all of that for a minute. But even before that, I've never seen Hammer do any of those three things. I always respected Hammer for that.
That's pretty significant, especially back in those times.
Yeah.
Hanging around death row.
Yeah. And Hammer was big before death row. I mean, Hammer, yeah, you know.
30 million records, I think.
I forget the name. I think it was with Loud Records or something like that. But Hammer was the man, you know, back in the late 90s. I mean, early 90s, 91, 92.
Yeah.
You know, he had some people that ripped him off. But prior to that, Hammer, good dude, good-hearted dude. I have nothing but positive things to say about Hammer.
I seen somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but I was going to ask why I'm asking you. I seen that Snoop used to have dog fights in the studio.
They all did. They were big on pit bulls. They used to love pit bulls, and yeah, I don't remember. They loved their dogs so much, so I don't know if they was letting them fight like that, you know, to where they were bleeding and stuff like that. But they would probably be having them in there barking at each other and stuff like that, because they took care of their dogs. Corrupt had a nice big boxer, some type of boxer. They didn't have Rockwallers and Dolan pitchers and all of that, but they had they were big with boxers, some form of pit bulls.
Did you guys ever find out who released the Machiavelli, Tupac bootlegs?
No, but I know for sure it had to be somebody that worked at Pacific Archives, which was the archives that controlled and had all our music. So it was somebody working there late at night that had access to our, because you used to have big reels. If y'all see inside the Tupac exhibit now that's on Bomb First, you can check it out if you haven't been able to go there and visit it. But they was on those big reels like that. So it had to be somebody that had enough time to go and convert that from the reels to cassettes or DVDs or CDs. And the only people that had access to do stuff like that were people working the graveyard shift at the Pacific Archives. So it was some little geeky white boy that made a whole bunch of money back then.
I mean, because I think I even remember seeing like Machiavelli 17 or
many.
something. Like I remember when 2 came out and it was in the swap meet, it was like, yo, this shit hard.
To be
this
honest,
shit is fucking bad.
To be honest, that's how I put together albums. I used to go to swap meet, me and the realists. Go and buy the latest Machiavelli that came out or the CD that came out and be like, okay, let's go find this song. Let's go find this one. This is a hard song. That's how I put most of the albums out that came out, 3 years after Pac's death, or decided this is a song we should have put out, or the one that we shouldn't. That's how I knew C Murder ripped off one of Pac's songs, word for word, song for song, and try to call it a tribute, but you don't give the publishing credit to it. Ain't no tribute. That's a theft. But that's what C Murder and them did back in the day.
That was crazy, word for word too. But
word for word.
And it was an unreleased Tupac song.
Correct.
So it wasn't like it was a released Tupac song. Yeah.
So they was wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I mean, I think everybody, believes the murder rap version of what happened with Tupac.
Well, you still got a bunch of idiots out there. I read in the comment section, oh, he has something to do with the murder of Tupac. And I'll be like, you little crazy, stupid little motherfuckers.
I can't think of a more credible situation because, I mean, Keefe D was put in a situation where if he lies, he's going to go to jail for life. So all you got to do is tell the truth and you good.
Yeah, but
So I can't really think of like
you
a
got
more credible person to speak on that situation.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what I said. Listen to Keefe. You don't want to believe Keefe, then fine. But they say, oh, well, LAPD made him do it. They want him to lie. LAPD was trying to solve the murder of Biggie. They didn't care about the murder of Tupac. That's a Las Vegas issue. So if Greg Cadiz wanted him to lie, he would have had him lie about Biggie's murder, not Pac's murder.
Right, because according to Greg, they didn't even know
Correct.
that they were the ones
They
involved in
wasn't
Tupac's.
even suspected of it at the time. I mean, they were suspected of it, but they didn't think he was going to cop out to that. They were investigating Biggie's murder.
Right. A lot of people don't know that Orlando actually sued Tupac.
That's what they don't know. And people always say, I heard this idiot, this dude that get about 200 views that look like Uncle Fester, do a live stream talking about, yo, well, Reggie paid him Orlando $60,000. So ain't that just the same thing that somebody recently just got in trouble for? Suge's attorney got in trouble for bribing, Number one, he came to court telling his truth, Orlando. But number two, he was suing Death Row and Tupac and Suge for the assault. We talking about Orlando. So to get him to come to testify, which wasn't the reason that we got him to come testify or paid him the money was to settle the lawsuit of all of the Death Row employees, Suge and Tupac kicking on him inside the MGM hotel. That's who I would have went after. I still to the day don't know why Orlando didn't sue the MGM, but okay. But he still had a lawsuit against those guys who wanted to go to court. It cost $60,000 just for your attorney fees. God forbid you get a crazy jury to give you a judgment. So yeah, that's why Orlando was given $60,000, was to incumbent all of that. Come to court to tell your truth.
This was to get Suge off, right?
Well, that he felt, yeah. It took the judge 13 times to witness to finally say, well, after reviewing this 13 times, I determined that Mr. Knight violated his probation by throwing a kick. 9 years for a kick. Wow. That show you right there. The audio and this big government conspiracy against Suge Knight, which, you can say what you want to say about him. But you can't allow people to do things like that, or the government to do things like that, because it can eventually happen to you. And it continue to happen. So it's funny how we pick and choose who we want it to happen to. We don't want stuff like that to happen to George Floyd and all of them, people we don't know nothing about. But we know a little bit about Suge Knight, so, you deserve it, because you've been doing bad to other people. We've all have things in our closet or our skeleton that we don't want out. We don't know, but right is right, wrong is wrong. Do we put anybody in prison for 9 years for what Suge allegedly did? Do we give guys $107 million for allegedly saying that he invested $1 million into the company, which there's no proof of, no money trail of, other than him just saying that? We don't know. But is that how the court system is supposed to work? Not in my opinion. Not the America that I grew up in.
Yeah, man, that's a long time just for a kick, man, even on a parole violation, But were you there? You were there, right? You kind of negotiated the whole Orlando doing everything, right?
Well, the attorneys got him there. Edie Fall and David Kenner got him there. But I was there at the meeting. Keefe D said it was Reggie Sr., but Keefe D got Alzheimer's or something.
Was Keefe D there too?
He said he was. I didn't see him. But he said they were hiding in the bushes with guns, because Orlando called them. The only person I saw there was Edie Fall and Orlando. And the only person there was on our side was David Kenner, myself, and Norris Anderson. And maybe Bob Gotti, who was there, probably driving me. And he probably was off somewhere on the phone, if I know Gotti.
What did you guys think, like, after you found out, like, he he's the one that probably killed Tupac.
Oh, we knew at the time.
And now he's suing Tupac. Like, that's crazy to think about, right? Like, you kill somebody and then you turn around and sue him for beating you up.
It's tit for tat.
Yeah.
Tit for tat. What better way to get a criminal investigation off you? I'm the victim. I was beat up. I'm sure that was his defense the whole time. You see his brother got a video out now bragging about it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, his brother got a video out there, saying pretty much he was 10 years old at the time. I hate to hear people that's 10 and, that don't really know their parents at the time. But that was his brother, so. But he talking about it now on video.
Really?
So there's a video out there.
What's he saying? Is he?
Just talking about it. I didn't listen to it. I don't listen to that crap. I don't want to listen to nobody, but everybody send me stuff. I get stuff in my messenger box and Instagram every day of something that's going on. It's the only way I hear about stuff that's going on. If it ain't on your channel, Arts, Bomb First, or Vlad, I probably don't even listen to it, to be honest. If someone don't send it to me.
Right, there's a lot of stuff going on the internet.
I don't even listen to Gangster Chronicles no more. Mm-hmm. And then just because of the content, not because of no dislike or anything.
There's always these rumors about Harry O. Like, did he invest in Death Row? Did he not invest in Death Row? How much he invested? Do you know what the situation was with all that?
All right. The way Suge always told it to me, and like I said, all this was before my time. I knew Suge, was his friend then, knew his wife Sharita and all of that, but I wasn't involved. I was, on the police force, being a police officer at the time in like the 90, 91, 92. But what Suge has always explained to me, and I know it to be true because he used to ask David Kenner, when we used to be sitting there, like, David, did that nigga give some money or something like that? And David Kenner's version was always, no, he was broke. He didn't have any money. We exhausted it all during the trial. But but he never denied Pat Johnson, PJ. He never denied that. But he used to always tell me that what he believes happened is Harry O. got people, like Pat, there was another guy he used to say, and I forget his name, to invest and give money to Death Row and ship money over there. And that's what even Keefe D alluded to when he always saying, your boss was my boss or something like that. He was talking about Pat, but he was working and he had money on the streets for Pat. And Pat would have the money sent over to David Kenner. And that's the way Suge always explained it to me, that money came from those sources. For what, I don't know. If it was for Death Row, if it was for selling drugs, if it was for a car, I don't know. Don't know. But that's the only way money ever came from one of those sources. I mean, Suge done went and met with Harry O. and they had dealings. Harry O. tried to say the same thing about Lil J. You go listen to Lil J. Lil J don't have nothing complimentary to say about Harry O. about that. How he tried to take his company down and stuff like that. But Suge's opinion or his statement to me always has been that Harry O. was like a broker, got people to give money for whatever reason, don't know the reason, but Harry O. got people to get money and that was shipped to him, but that he didn't put up any of his own money, is what Suge always said. Like I said.
Okay, so he was just kind of like the middleman.
The middleman.
Well, the phone, because I remember seeing on one of the documentaries or somewhere, wasn't there a phone dedicated to Harry O. though?
That's what people say, like, Jewel and all of them saying on some of their interviews that there was a phone there in the studio for there. But if there's a guy that's getting you money, you're going to have a direct line and, you're going to look out for him. I'm not saying that they didn't have some type of working relationship. Because it used to be called Godfather Entertainment, which was Harry O.'s parent company. Suge used to drive around in that Benz. That Benz y'all see him with Damu. That Mercedes was originally registered to Godfather Entertainment. So they have a relationship. What the relationship was, what the investment was, I can't say. But
Right, only they know.
only that Suge always said. And asked David in front of me several times, what is he talking about? Why is this dude like this? Why is he feeling this way about this particular thing? Because you got to remember, he got sued by Dick Griffey, DOC, and then it was Dre and him. So that's 4 investors or 4 partners right there, allegedly, back then. And now you got Harry-O, so that's 5 people that supposedly invested into Death Row. But what was it for? Was it for something that they did with Godfather Entertainment? Was it some street shit that they did together? I don't know.
Interesting. Well, maybe someday we'll get the full story.
Well, apparently it's out. Hey,
Yeah.
Harry-O's a part of the deal.
Harry-O's out, so Harry-O can come anytime, whenever he feels like telling his side of the story, which he hasn't done yet, so hopefully he will. Because I think everybody's waiting
I hear
for
they got
a Harry-O interview.
I hear they got a documentary in the works, so
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he's waiting for this probation shit to get off him, and he's gonna tell the story. And he got places, like I said. For some reason, the industry is loving him. They forget how much of a rat he was, because we got evidence of that. We know he was down there with the grand jury working with the U.S. attorneys. But I guess some rats are forgiven from the 90s and some not.
So Murder Rap comes out, and it's this huge deal. I don't know if people remember what it was like when it came out, but man, it was like a big thing. Like, Puffy was really put on the spot. And, if you go to his Instagram, you would just see like, I remember going to Puffy's Instagram that the night when it came out, or the day or the week or whatever, and it was just flooded with all type of, people talking shit about him. I heard that Puffy stopped Murder Rap from getting on Netflix. Is there any truth to that?
Don't know. That's a question from Greg Cadence. Never asked, but I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I noticed him and Snoop. He's taking credit for making the chess move and not playing checkers with shit. So who knows what the plot was?
Okay. Recently, Jungle, Nas's brother. I don't know. Do you know who that is?
I heard of him. Don't know him.
Said that during that altercation at the park that he was ready to shoot or pull a gun on Tupac.
He might have.
During all that.
Might have been a whole bunch of dead people in the park. You see the guys from Jersey, they were deep, we were deep. I had a gun on me. There was a bunch of people had guns, so I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad Pac and Nas worked it out, because anybody can shoot anybody, especially in a park like that. So it would just probably been a lot of innocent people getting shot. Probably not even the person that intended to get shot would have got shot.
How many people were you guys deep on each side?
I felt like 75 on our side, and they had about 50 to 75 on their side. It felt like a lot of people around in a big circle.
He mentioned that he ran into Tupac backstage at the award show that
something
night
happened.
before that.
I heard something like that before, where
and they kind of got into it.
Something was said or something like that, which Tupac and Snoop presented a award that night to somebody at the award show, and so that's possible. But they didn't do anything. Nothing happened.
Definitely glad nothing happened, man. Damn, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
And then, I think Nas has mentioned it, you've mentioned it, that Tupac said he was going to take him off of Against All Odds. So he wasn't going to be dissing Nas anymore. That whatever
Correct.
issues they had was squashed.
They had worked it out that night. That night they, who knows what would have continued. Just like I always give Snoop bad credit for him and Pac not being on good terms when he died. Nas and Pac was on good terms when he died.
Tupac said he felt like Nas was taking shots at him. Like when he said in the song, it's the Message, I believe is the name of the song, where he goes, "Fake thug, no love, you get the slug."
Yeah.
You know? So Tupac kind of, from what I heard, he felt like he was taking shots at him and everything.
Yeah, I heard Mutal speak on that, so I'll let what Mutal speak on that.
That's right.
Stand as
Napoleon.
yeah, you know, they know that better than I would know what the music meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what Pac felt about different musics. You know, he wouldn't have talked to us or me about that. But if Mutal speak on it, then yeah, I would ride with what Mook saying. Mook keeps it 100.
Yeah, I love his interviews, man. You know, yeah, it's got an authentic feel to it. You know what I'm saying? He kind of just a straight shooter.
Mook was wild back in the day.
Just tells you how it is.
But I love his growth. There's another man. You know, we always talk about people in their past and what. But Mook was a little hard-headed, a little wild stood back. But look at this man now in 2022. Read his posts. Read what he's talking about on Facebook. Read what he's eating. Look at what he's taking pictures with. It's all about family and his kids and stuff. Positivity. That young man grew up.
Yeah, I've noticed the same.
Yeah.
When I see his stuff, man. It's dope. It's dope to see that.
It is.
Now, this is a rumor that I kind of wanted to get cleared up about Tupac that I think I seen you speak on it one time, but I believe James accused Tupac of spitting on fans.
Well, yeah. He said...
But there's more to that story, though, right?
Well, I don't believe it. I think he just saw that on video, as we all have seen before, when he was spitting on reporters.
Oh, okay.
I think he took it from that. But in fairness to him, he told me that he got a diary. Well, what men call diaries?
Journals.
Buntries that Buntry was keeping, and Buntry wrote it in a journal. That's James' defense to that statement. But I called him on it. I told him I've never seen that. I never heard that. And when was you around Pac to see that? But he said he didn't see it. He said he read it in a journal. So I have to take him as face value on that. Because one thing James is not is a liar. We can call him a lot of things, but he speaks what he believes. That's what I know from James.
So I want to take it back a little bit, man. When Dre left Death Row, was there any like build up? Like, did you guys see this coming, or did it just come out of nowhere?
Well, when it happened, it came out of nowhere, but you saw the build up. Dre had kind of distanced himself from the studio. I probably saw Dre at Can-Am 6 times. And he was on house arrest a lot prior to that. But even after he got off house arrest, Dre had built a studio, had his own crew at his house. And I forget the city, but he had a nice little house and he had his own little crew there. And Dre stayed away. Dre didn't mix down All Eyes on Me. So you know it was getting down. And Dre was our finisher.
Did he mix some of the songs?
Quick mixed down All Eyes on Me.
The whole thing?
The whole album. Now he might have didn't mix California Love, the single and all that, but once he put the album together, Quick got the finishing touches on All Eyes on Me. Dre probably did the singles because he was still cool at the time. But prior to the finish of the album, which probably was submitted sometime in December or January, but the album came out February 13th, Dre wasn't hanging around by then.
But he still shot the music video, right?
Like I said, it was a breakup. I'm just trying to show the distance starting.
Oh, okay. So at this point, okay, I see. He's starting to distance.
He's starting to distance. He's not coming up to the studio. He's not working. You know, he might have took the album to get mastered with Big Bernie Grumman. I think that was who he used. Big Bass Brian. That was his mixer. He loved Big Bass Brian. But it was a studio mastering recording called Bernie Grumman's. And he probably did that part, but I know he didn't mix the album down. DJ Quick did that.
How did Suge feel when he found out Dre was leaving?
How did he feel? He was a part of it. He was in the negotiation. He didn't want to tell you, that nigga ain't getting nothing. You know that. You know that's coming from a nigga. And, you know, Dre probably said, I want to buy out my money, or, you know, I want to have a loan against, you know, for $20 million. I know you ain't got it in the bank, but you owe me $20 million for me to walk away. She was like, you can go, but you ain't getting a penny. But you didn't. Dre got the last laugh because of the streaming, because of something we didn't know in 1995, 6. Nobody knew about streaming.
Why did Dre walk away and not try to get any money? Because he could have sued Suge, right? Like, he could have legitimately got money.
You could have a loan, or you could still have ownership in it, but you still got to deal with all the lawsuits and stuff as well. You know, that comes along with the company. So you just want a clean break. You can have all this. You indemnify me for any lawsuits, any royalty payments or anything. I just want to go away. I'm going over here with Interscope and start over fresh with a clean slate. And so that's, you know, sometimes you want to get away, especially when you know you got a talent. Dre was the talent. Dre knew he can do it again. He did it again. He had a hard time. The firm and who been there, who done that, and all that didn't do well. Dre was $21 million unrecouped with Aftermath for his first few years. He didn't get into positive until after that white boy came and saved him and pulled him out of the red to the green, or the black, as y'all call it.
Yeah, Eminem definitely came through for Dr. Dre.
And then he started hitting home runs. Then he came and saved himself with Chronic 2001.
Yeah.
You know, then he started back hitting. The tour, Up in Smoke tour. He winning now.
Yeah, that was classic tour. And
then he started doing the laptops. I remember talking to Jimmy Iovine, and Dre wanted to do some shoes with this company called 310 that was hot. They were doing something. I think the game ended up doing the deal. But he was going to do a tennis. And he was like, Dre, why are you talking to me about tennis shoes and stuff? You don't know nothing about no tennis shoes or no sneakers. You know about music. You know about speakers. He wasn't on the headphone things. He was talking about speakers and laptops and musical equipment. That's what you want to do endorsements on. And boy, didn't that pay off for him?
Oh, yeah. So at one point, Suge decides to go to Dr. Dre's house.
Okay.
And the rumors that he took all his music. Is there...
Well, like I said, he had a studio. He was still with Death Row, but he was working at his home. So if you're working at your home on my material, just because you're not doing it at Can-Am and you're now doing it at your house, who still owns that? Whose material is that? Is that Aftermath material, or is that Death Row material? When you did all of this, you did it for Death Row, or while you was with Death Row. So in essence, he just went to collect his shit.
Okay, but I mean, do you know the situation? Like how many?
Yeah, I know how he got in and everything. They didn't just let. Dre was living in a gated community. Remember going to the gate? Well, went to the gate. Who's there? Jimmy Iovine. Let him in. When they saw Suge Knight at the door. But he was just going to collect his shit.
What all did they take?
Just a bunch of reels, songs.
Any of that stuff ever get released or anything?
No. Not to my knowledge. No.
You guys would be going out to, you mentioned clubs earlier. You guys would go to clubs, a lot of shows were at clubs and everything. Was there any times where like Biggie came on, the DJ played Biggie or anything in any of these clubs?
No. I mean, they played it. I mean, I done been in clubs with Suge, danced a big, shit, it was a big, we did a big Murder Was the Case release party, and Big and Puffy was there. Did a big interview at the, matter of fact, he did some rapping and stuff. It was a nice little thing. I saw Biggie talking to some reporter at the Murder Was the Case party that's out there on YouTube. But yeah, we used to kick it. Not kick it. I mean, I done been in the office with Suge and Puffy where they done had meetings and was talking and stuff like that. So they was all love until the 95 Source Awards is when, Suge let it to be known that I'm riding with Pac now. Pac don't like bad boys, so I don't like bad boys no more. But prior to that, it was all love.
I was talking about more during the time of the beefs and everything. If there was anything that happened. I think I seen you say that Pac got mad at you.
That was me for listening to a CD in my car. I had a CD of Pac in my car.
You
in
mean
my
Biggie?
disc, a Biggie. And he didn't appreciate. I remember he said, matter of fact, his video out there where he laughing at my car. When he said, yeah, look at you, you ran into the homie's car. And what he said prior to that wasn't on the tape, where he says that you probably was listening to that fat motherfucker when you ran into the car. But he broke the CD up. So you don't be riding in Entourage with us listening to that fat motherfucker. But back then we used to have a cassette or CD changers in the trunk of your car. And so I think I was loading or putting in something in the trunk of the car and he saw Biggie's CD. But yeah, I like Biggie. I was a fan of Biggie's music.
He got it and broke it, huh?
He broke it in half. The CD.
Damn. Were you aware of any issues with Cameron and Suge? So I seen an interview with Cameron, and Cameron said that Suge approached him and wanted money for using the ambitions of a writer's beat. Because I don't know if you're aware of it, but Cameron used the beat on one of his albums, and Suge told him, he wanted to get paid, and Cameron was like, "Well, Daz just replayed the beat." Suge, I guess, was like, "Yeah, well, Daz don't make that call. That's not up to Daz." And I fuck dudes up for not giving me my money. And Cam says that yeah, well, I fuck dudes up too. So what do you want to do? Yeah. And supposedly Suge just walked away.
Yeah. So when Cam make the statement?
When did he? I want to say like 6 months ago. He did say that in an interview.
My point, exactly. People say a lot of stuff since he locked up now. But Cam wouldn't step foot in L.A. if Suge really felt that way back then. But I'm sure that conversation went like that, where Suge don't know the publishing game. He knows it, but he's wrong if he replays something. Just like Damon Thomas replayed All Eyes on Me for L.T. Hutton in the movie. That wasn't used for the master recordings and all of that. So people don't know when you replay, you just lose the publishing. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I own all of Daz publishing now. And so that'll be another one when I go ahead and get my paperwork right. Because I did a buyout with Daz for $75,000 for all this rights back in like 2001, 2000. So.
Wait. You personally own all of Daz's publishing?
You ever look up a company called Simon Says Music, Big Simon. I did buyouts with every artist on Death Row to buy their publishing and their writer's credits.
Okay, so you don't own it personally though. Who's this company?
Well, that's my company, but it's called Big Simon.
Okay, so
Simon
it's your
Says
company
Music.
that you own.
Correct.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
So you own the publishing.
All the artists that did all of this stuff on Death Row that I did buyouts with. Correct.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I think you mentioned before that you owned some Tupac stuff too, right?
I own Simon Says Music. Anything or any artist that appeared on those albums and the publisher was Big Simon or Simon Says, I own. So that's why everybody laughs and says, "Oh, Reggie hating because I want Death Row to start making some more money. Because I'm about to go out there, all that. Bankruptcy is over. They never asked me about this in bankruptcy court, about Big Simon or Simon Says Music Company. So I didn't perjure myself in bankruptcy court when they was questioning me about any access that I own. Because they never talked about it. I just remembered that I owned all this stuff. So I'll be going to collect my money real soon.
I was just about to say, so you haven't been collecting all these years?
I haven't been collecting. But everybody knows the company's out there. Vlad done asked me about it. A bunch of people done asked me about Simon Says Music. I own Simon Says Films. I own all the DVDs that's out there. Everything that's under Simon Says is Reggie Wright.
How come you haven't been collecting or anything?
Well, there was a bankruptcy.
So you're
And
just waiting for everything.
like I said, they tried to go after the building that I own, which I had to explain to them and show them how that building transaction was done. Harry tried to name my house. So a lot of people had took me as Suge, that Reggie owns everything that Suge had. And at one time, there was some things like that was going on. But it was mainly because Reggie had good credit and was making enough money to acquire all of the assets. And Suge Knight didn't want any of the assets because he had IRS troubles. And so
Reggie about to be rich because you got to have a lot of publishing sitting there.
it's been sitting at Universal and E1 Entertainment for a long time. Now there's some people that out there been collecting, but that's on them. Because these people was given this paperwork. They just forgotten about it. But E1 Entertainment got that paperwork. Actually it was Koch Entertainment at the time. They got that paperwork when it was done. Universal got that paperwork. Tupac Estate got that paperwork because they wouldn't have let Big Simon or Simon Says be on the back of any of that music without that paperwork. But I'm talking a little bit too much, so I'll wait till.
Daz is always complaining about his publishing.
Yeah.
Has Daz tried to contact you about it or anything?
No, Daz ain't gonna contact me. But that's why it's all been held up. That's why a lot of people mad. But they forgot they did the deals. They sold the rights when they needed money in the late 90s, early 2000s. So what I did was purchased it. You want some money? You need some money? Sell me the rights. And they all were willing to do it.
Wow. I guess that'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So actually, you could actually greenlight the songs because I believe Daz. I don't know what happened, but a few years back he was doing a.
And some songs, I got.
Right?
Sometimes, what's that called in the music business? Is that called some type of assignment that you can do? Where most music publishers has to get permission to. What I'm trying to say is you can't just sign off on the on just because you're a publisher, a music publisher on a song, you don't have the rights to assign the music to certain things. But that's one thing that administration, to administer the songs. So most people just have administration deals now. People that's smart, they just have where you can administrate the deal, have an administration deal.
So you don't really have control over how the music is used. You just collect your part of it. Do you own full publishing or just part of it?
Whatever percentage that I bought, like Tupac and Dre or Snoop, I didn't do anybody else on their part, but it was mainly the producers or the people that did the songs, like guest appearance on particular songs and stuff like that. And so it was mainly the low tier artists, to be honest, and some of the low tier producers. Some of the producers that was on Machiavelli, Daz as a producer. Who else did buy out? Definitely all of those on the Row album. That was me and Suge's deal. Was like, we just giving you opportunity to try to blow up. Y'all ain't gonna make no money off of this, but so y'all gonna give up all y'all publishing and writers, but we're trying to see who's gonna blow up off that. So that's why a lot of those artists never received any royalty or publishing check, and they really don't know the reason why.
You're talking about like Crooked Eye and.
I don't want to call no names out. It's people that was during that time.
I had seen at one point that Tupac and Ice Cube kind of had a situation. Tupac was accusing him of kind of taking his style. He said that Bow Down sounded something like Hit 'Em Up. And I guess he went on a radio station and kind of spoke about it. Were you around during that?
Yeah, I mean, I heard that and remember that statement, but to go in details on it right now, I don't really remember other than it was the song Bow Down, and Pac took offense to it, the West Side Connection, or if it was Cube himself, and he felt like they were biting his style. But Pac was a little he felt that way about some people at the time, which we learned. That's why I said, on the music stuff, let's deal with Mutal and what Mutal and all of them say about that. Because, you know, we all have different opinions and different interpretations on things. And I don't want to try to be what I accuse a lot of people of being, opinionated instead of factual.
I seen somewhere that Suge started managing Caution.
The group Caution. Yeah.
How did that come about?
He was dissing, he was getting back at Ice Cube. Ice Cube, Caution was signed to Ice Cube. So what Suge would do, back then, he had learned this from Jimmy Iovine. Because Jimmy did it with that guy that was in the group, what was that big white rapper that was real popular? God dog it. He ended up, he would sign people as producers.
MC Search?
No. He was mainly Bone something.
Are you talking about the producer? The dude from Def Jam?
He was signed to a label, but he ended up signing him as a producer. But anyway, that's what Suge would do. Get control over artists. He would sign them as a producer, and then he did it with Quick and stuff like that when he couldn't sign you as an artist. But he had Caution as a management group with Sharitha, and he signed them to manage him. That's when we took him on the tour and stuff like that. And it was mainly to get back at Ice Cube at the time because they were a real hot upcoming group at the time that was signed to Ice Cube.
Why do you want to get back at Ice Cube?
I don't know. I don't remember the beef at the time. It was mainly could have been something with priority or something like that. But I don't remember.
I remember I seen an interview with Cube, and he said that he was invited on the boat with, I believe it was a Doggy Style release party.
Yeah, the album, that's the one the big fight broke out.
The big fight broke out.
Yeah.
He was like, hell no, I ain't getting on the boat with Death Row.
Cube was a smart man.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I still, Cube, still one of my favorite rappers and producers of movies out there. Yeah.
Whatever happened on that boat? What was...
This is before my time. I wasn't around. That's when he had some other security, but mainly the Muslims was involved with the security on that. But it was something that happened between the Long Beach guys and some of the mob guys that happened on the boat.
Now, this was something that we brought up before the interview, but 50 Cent had a situation with Suge, or were some dudes, Suge sent some dudes at 50 Cent at a video shoot?
Yeah. That was my boy Magic from 8-7 Trey Gangster. And so that was when Suge was out there pushing up on everybody. That's why Big Hugh and Suge kind of had a good relationship. But they were trying to make everybody back in the mid-2000s that came to LA, he had to pay. And he had this dude, Magic from 8-7 Gangster. That's what Magic was known for. He was always doing that to dudes or athletes. Came to LA, he would push up on you on some money, for some money. And so he sent Magic and some of his homeboys to the video shoot to harass 50 Cent for whatever reason, probably because of the affiliation with Dre and him and, Interscope. But to believe it or not, this is why I believe to this day that Spider-Loc got the deal he got with 50. Because that's when Spider-Loc walked up to him and gave him a phone and said, "Oh, you got to take this call, homie. Somebody want to talk to you." And 50 Cent kind of walked away from him, got to his trailer and got away from him. And so it's safe to say that Spider-Loc saved 50 a beat down or some pressure that particular day.
Yeah, I believe Spider-Loc is spoke about this before, so
okay.
Shout out Spider-Loc.
Yeah, Spider-Loc, my nigga.
Yeah, for sure. We did an interview a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Yeah.
Dope interview.
Yeah.
It was, definitely, Spider, I turned into his
Very
YouTube channel.
Very articulate young man.
Very articulate, man. He definitely knows how to tell a story and convey, his opinions or, things that he's saying, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Spider very articulate, very well spoke.
So from what I'm hearing, Suge used to manage a lot of people. He had his hands in a whole lot of shit
He
back
was
then.
on West Coast. He was helping out a lot of people. He really was trying to teach people the game. From Earl Gotti and them to who else? Like I said, the caution, and he knew how to deal with those guys because he was one of the first ones that ever got ownership of his masters, and he was trying to teach people about ownership. That's why I hate that he get the bad rap that he get with the youngsters, because everybody don't give him his flowers, and some do, a lot do, and there's interviews out there. That's why I get mad when people always saying, "Suge rip people off money, he deserve it. Karma coming back to get him." When you hear any of the interviews that they do, they never talk about doing bad. Even Snoop, I done got interviews where I was looking at one the other day, it was like, look at what Snoop said. Snoop said he was eating good. He was taken care of very well. But later on, once he went to prison, the first time, then that's when that bad taste in people's mouth came. And then this time, they hear 28 years, and they really believe it's going to be 28 years, which it's not. It ain't going to be as short as they think, but it ain't going to be 28 years. And hopefully he'll come home, do his movie. That's why he can't really piss off Snoop too much, because he do have those people here, and he going to need the music to license in his movie. But when Suge Knight come home, he'll be debt free and have about a $15 million to $20 million deal for books and movie rights. Because all these deals that's out here now are going to be expired and over with. So when you hear Little Suge and people like that saying he ain't going to do nothing right now, it's a good move not to. Number one, because you can't spend the money. You ain't going to do nothing but spend it on other people. And two, shit, make that money when you come home and you can live right and you can buy your own shit, because you don't owe nobody nothing.
Wack100 said in, I believe it was on Clubhouse, that he stopped fucking with Suge Knight and that it was because he sold his life rights or his movie rights to was it 5 or 6 different people? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that was the reason he stopped fucking with him, but that was the issue. Wack was upset and disappointed, and he was like, how can this man blame me for having to take a deal, which Suge did on a interview where he said, because Wack didn't pay the legal beagle, he had to take a deal and fight for himself on a tape recording that's out there, which I agree with Wack. That wasn't the reason he had to take a deal. But Wack was disappointed. Wack was out there hustling and got movie rights and had some deals on the table for him. $30 million deal, which a lot of people say $30 million ain't shit. I don't know. Tell me what they spent on all that on me. I don't know. I don't think LT had a budget over $30 million. But let's say he did. But Suge had that on the table. Wack had that on the table for sure. But as Wack found out, and not only Wack, because he can care less, people doing their due diligence, when you're about to put out $30 million, they found out there were other deals on the table, which I kind of alluded to earlier in this interview where I said, hopefully all those deals will be expired and no good. Well, Suge done sold himself probably 500% of 100%. So the only way we're going to get a decent movie or a decent deal where everything won't be cease and desist is somebody got to be smart enough to get all these people together and they all work out a percentage. Because there's a lot of people out there that feel they have rights to his documentary or his life rights.
So this thing might not come together simply because Suge has sold it to so many people.
That's why it didn't. I mean, Wack had a deal when he needed money for his attorney for $30 million on the table, where they were going to advance him some money and give him some movie, money to make a movie.
Okay, so this was going on when he was fighting his case.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, but since then or after that, Wack paid for his mother's funeral and did things. I don't know the timeline if that was before or after, but I know it's all during the same time. But that's why Wack is disappointed. And then you're going to come out and start talking about you. Like I said.
Oh, yeah, he did say, Suge Knight. Oh, damn it. I should look it up. What did Suge, you remember what Suge said about Wack100?
Well, he called him the trucker.
That's right. Suge comes out and calls Wack100 the trucker.
Yeah. I love what Wack's response to that was, though. He said, yeah, but the trucker had to pay for your mama's funeral. Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
Yeah. It's pretty deep right there.
Hey, man didn't have to do that. Man was remodeling his house at the time. When you remodeling your home, every penny counted. So it's something that I'm sure his wife wanted extra done in that house, that he took that $20,000 and downgraded on something, or didn't do something the way he wanted to do it, or maybe even put it on hold and just now able to do it. But he didn't have to do it, but he did. So give the man credit for that. No matter what Wack say or do out there, just give him his credit for that.
Yeah, that's big. Can't deny that, man. You pay for someone's funeral, your mom's funeral. Yeah, you kind of owe him.
Yeah. And we know Wack doing a lot better now, but this was what, 4 years ago? Who knows what financial position he was in then?
Right.
Like I said, he was in the process. I know he was in the process of remodeling his house at the time, because I was on the call with him and hearing him and his wife discussing it, because she wasn't a happy camper about it.
Oh, wow.
Because that's taking money out of her budget.
Right.
But he still did that for a friend.
What about Wack saying he's going to get Tekashi 6ix9ine and Tupac on a song together?
Okay. Now, everybody want to be gang members, or everybody want to be snitch patrol and all that. Man, you millenniums don't give a fuck about that. Y'all don't care about who's a snitch and who's not a snitch. And so, if it's a good song and it's good music, then who cares? Y'all done put other people on there that Tupac probably wouldn't. I don't like the state or anybody putting songs on the people on songs with Pac that he's not blessing. But if it's about good music or music that's going to sell, and we all know 6ix9ine has a following, and if that's going to help generate some money for Tupac estate or his sister, then who gives a crap? Who should? Who cares? Okay, we don't want it because 6ix9ine is an alleged snitch. Not alleged, he's a snitch, he's a rat. But motherfuckers still buy his music.
How do you think the fans will feel about it?
Motherfuckers still buy his music. He had developed some new fans. Because the old, Pac fans are 45, 50 years old. 6ix9ine fans are 20, 15 to 30 years old. That's a new fan base.
Yeah.
It's a new fan base.
I think the Tupac fans, they're going to listen to it. But they're going to be furious,
But do they buy music like the 15 to 30
No,
year olds?
absolutely not. 45-year-olds are not listening and buying music like the 20-year-olds and the 15-year-olds. That's a fact. But I know there's going to be a lot of mad Tupac fans if this thing actually happens. Tupac fans
and to be honest,
they're another level of, you know what I mean? Like they're some diehard fans.
let me just say this now. Now that Snoop allegedly got a little control and voice over there, myself and Wack ability of death row has diminished. And so Wack is cool with Snoop. You never hear him say nothing bad about Snoop.
Facts.
And so he probably can get it worked out. But the juice that Wack used to have with E1 and the Death Row catalog, because he had control over, he could have did whatever he wanted with it. I don't know if he's gonna still have it because I don't know the complete deal that Snoop has now with this company.
Interesting.
And like I told y'all, all of this music about to revert back to the estate real soon anyway.
Right, all of Tupac's old
All
music.
of it, except the hardcore, meaning the master copies of All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. But everything else the estate about to have. So that'll be Tom Wally if he's still employed. That'll be him and Molly's decision.
Well, hopefully they'll do something with all of it, man. Because, I know we've been waiting on some new Tupac music for a long time, and they keep saying it's going to come.
I keep telling y'all there's not much left.
It never does.
I picked through it like with a fine-tooth comb to get the 3 albums I got out of it. I wasn't involved in that one that him did. Well, I hear it was trash.
Right.
I hear it was trash. But that's all he had to work with.
Oh, right. That's a good point. Eminem would have took the best shit that was available. Dad says he has a bunch of unreleased.
Dad's a liar.
Huh?
Dad's a liar.
Back in the day, I remember I bought a CD that was all Daz and Tupac. It was like 10 songs.
Taking verses. He was taking verses off and putting his songs on there.
Oh.
Putting his verse on there.
So he didn't record that many songs.
Daz got one of the best songs I love to this day with him and Usher. Probably never met Usher before in his life, but he made one of Usher's songs big. Daz a producer. He can go to the studio and do that. But there's a song out there with Daz, with one of Usher hit songs, and Daz put his sorry ass vocals on it and did a rebeat on it. Song banging. But that's what Daz can do. He used to be on the radio every other day because it was so hot.
Was Suge managing Mary J?
Yes. Mary J and Jodeci at the time. He wasn't like a tour manager or a day-to-day manager, but he had the relationships with Andre Herrero, who was Puffy Boss at the time, who was running Uptown Record. He had, the people that was owning Uptown Records at the time. I forget if it was Time Warner or if it was Universal. I think it was Time Warner, I'm not sure. But he had their ear. And a guy named Paul Marshall is who he turned them on to, who was the attorney that represented both of them that had a lot of juice. And he went and got their deals reworked, and got them advances, and got their money, got Devontae Swain a deal from Interscope. Remember, he got $750,000 advance to sign him as a producer. And so,
damn.
Yeah, he helped out a lot of people. That's why we know who Missy and Timbaland and Magoo and all of them are now, because of Suge getting the money to Devontae, to get a deal with Interscope.
Oh, okay. And that all went to Timberland, or how did Timberland get involved in that?
Well, because they used to work under Timberland, and that got them. That's where Devontae is the one that had that little crew. They used to be a name. They used to have a name of themselves in Rochester, New York. I remember going there, and they were, all working there. They were all looking up to Danny Boy. And Danny Boy was like who they were all. We want to be like. We want to be. And then, of course, we know what they end up doing later in life with Missy and Timberland and Magoo and all of them end up becoming. But yeah, they all were just running around there, little kids in the studio, broke, sleeping on the couch in the studio in Rochester, New York, at Dalvin's house.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't even know they had that connection. Well, Reg, I appreciate you, bro. Man, your stories are dope. Man, your knowledge and just, your death row history. Death row is my era of music. I graduated from high school in 96. So so I love to hear it, man. I know the fans love it. you know, and I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you having me on your platform because I know I don't have to be here. And
I'm glad you're doing better too, bro.
oh yeah, a lot better. Yeah, you're moving a lot better.
You're moving better. You're looking better, man.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
Therapy is working. So all you guys with jokes,
Reggie's coming.
Keep the hate coming. It's motivating me.
All right, bro.